the people who are up here today have done these amazing things. They have quit their day job to start some, $22 million company, started an ice cream company. I happen to really like my job, and I'm not ready to quit my day job yet. Maybe someday I will become an entrepreneur and do something like that. But right now, for me, and starting this blog with Blake is really all about I'm at this place in my career. I've been doing it for 8 years. I'm in sort of that middle management area. I'm technically a management supervisor, but I want to be running the company. In order to be doing that, I need to get recognized not only by the executives at my company, which is a pretty big agency here in Seattle, but I want to get recognized by the people at the headquarters in New York. I want to get recognized by the ad press and the digital technology community. And the way for me to do that while holding down a day job was to start this blog called What the Klout. But a little bit more about my day job first. I work for a company called Wonderman. We're a direct marketing and digital firm started by this guy, Lester Wonderman, who is often referred to as the father of direct marketing. The reason being, he actually coined the phrase direct marketing back in 1967 at a speech that he gave at MIT. So really cool history, really awesome company 50 years ago. Now fast forward over about half a century, and Wonderman is now the largest digital network and the largest direct marketing agency in the world. Just reached this past year $1 billion in revenue, so it's really grown. And that's largely because of the digital boom. Back in the day when Lester started the company, it was all about direct mail and print advertising, starting to get into a little radio and TV. He was actually the first guy to put a 1-800 number in a TV ad. So very, very cool, very innovative company, even way back in the day, pre-digital. And of course now we've got this digital boom happening. It's been happening for the last decade or so. And it was much easier back in the day to become an expert in something like direct mail or print advertising or TV advertising. These things didn't change for decades and they kind of stayed the same. There were people who were better at it than others. But now we're in this time of digital, and there are new startups coming up every day, new ways to advertise. Facebook and Twitter are changing their rules for advertising all the time. It's pretty much impossible, at least in my opinion, to become an expert or to become knowledgeable in all of this stuff. You can be a generalist, or you can become knowledgeable in one or two things. And so for me to make it to that next step, I felt what I needed to do, along with my friend Blake here, let's pick one or two things that we think that we can become not experts in, because we'll never really be experts in something like this. It's so complex, but we can know more about it than anyone in our company. And then let's find a way to showcase that to help progress our careers. So who here has heard of the company Klout.com? I know Rand has. If he's still here, he's written some pretty good stuff about it. So about maybe half of you raised your hands. This is a company, they essentially have this algorithm, and represented by this big box with a K in it, and they're pulling in data from various social networks, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Foursquare, and they're always adding new ones. And what comes out on the other end of this algorithm is a score, and it ranks people based on it gives people an online influence score, anywhere between 1 and 100. 20 is about average, 50 is really high. Justin Bieber has the highest Klout score in the world, and it makes sense. So lots of people like to say, that's bullshit. Why does some 18-year-old pop star have the highest Klout score? How is he influential? Well, when he's influential online because he has more followers than anyone, and when he tweets something, it gets retweeted by millions and millions of 12-year-old girls, and when he posts something on Facebook, it gets millions of likes, and nobody else in this room is getting that kind of attention online. So it makes sense. One other thing they do besides the score is they assign people topics. So for example, someone like me, I'm pretty active on Twitter. I tweet about social media and marketing and advertising. So if you look at the topics Klout is assigning me, you'll see things like that. So what this means for marketers like Blake and I, and why we really got interested in it, is that marketers can work with Klout, and Pop Chips, Mario's Pop Chips, a sponsor of the... Okay, so Pop Chips has worked with Klout to get their chips in the hands of people who just like to talk on social media. But to give you another example of how a marketer has used this service, recently Chevy and their new car, Chevy Volt, a very technologically advanced car. It's not a hybrid. It's an electric car that goes for about 40 miles on electricity only, and then gas kicks in. So you could really have this car and never go to a gas station in your life. So what they wanted to do is get this new car in the hands of people who either like technology, like cars, they're influential in automobiles, who have a Klout score of it was 55 or higher, which is pretty high. And they knew that if they could get the car into the hands of people like this, these are people who just like to talk on social media. So it's really I often call it sampling on steroids, because it's if you're walking down by Westlake Mall and people are handing out gum or samples of something, they're just handing it out to anybody who will take a free handout. But what this allows marketers to do is to take something, give it to somebody who might be interested in the product, but also likes to talk online and just spread messages. So that's the idea of the company. So that's why Blake and I wanted to learn more about it. So this was going to be sort of our in, and we just got interested in it. So it was going to be the way we were going to elevate our profile within our company. So here comes the idea. Tonight's all about ideas. Klout's a pretty confusing thing, and actually before that. So we were starting to get into it. We had created a PowerPoint deck. Somebody at the office in our communications team was like, you guys should, we know that you guys are into this, you guys are talking about it. We'd like you to present a Klout 101 session to the rest of the company. And there's about 400 people in the Seattle office for Wonderman. And we thought, yeah, that'd be great. We'd love to get in front of these people and talk. It'll make us look good. It'll make us sound smart. So we did that. We had a great time. Then we did the same presentation at another digital agency here in Seattle called Zoz. Some of you may have heard of them. And we did that. About 2 weeks later, it's some afternoon, random Tuesday, and Blake and I got to talking. We should do more with this. Maybe if we created a blog, we could do more than just speak to our peers who are in our office. I mean, we'd already talked to pretty much everybody we had day-to-day connections with, everybody at Wonderman, everybody at Zoz. We've got to expand this. We were able to get on a few global calls to talk to other Wonderman global offices, which was pretty good exposure. But we thought this could go even further, and the best way to get that out there would be to start a blog. So fast forward to the next morning. So if that was Thursday afternoon, this is now Wednesday. Blake comes in and he goes, I did it. And I'm like, what did you do? You did what? And he goes, I created the blog. I'm like, what? You created the blog last night? We just talked about this. So it was a blog, but it didn't yet have the first post. So, but what it did have was a title that he came up with that night, and it was really more of a question: what the Klout? This thing is it's so confusing. Klout's changing all the time. Online marketing and digital is changing all the time. So we then went out to write our core values or our mission statement. What's this thing all about? And there were three things really. One, Klout is confusing. Two, we want to learn more about it. And three, we want to share our learnings with our peers. Now, and this is just a quick snapshot of what the blog looks like in one of the posts. This one was the Klout perk I don't want my wife to find out about, because it was some dating company was working with Klout to try to get people to sign up. So while I am married and my wife is in the room right now, I did sign up for this. So they're coming in the mail soon. These I saw you checking me out cards I can pass out at bars. But anyways. So we try to keep the site somewhat humorous for two reasons. One, it makes us want to keep doing it. When Rand had his slide up here and he was showing how most people do a blog and maybe they do it for a year and then they give up, either because they're bored of it or it's not successful. This helped to keep us excited about it, but I think it also has helped us get some readers who keep coming back. Now, everybody knows content is king. So in addition to just writing regular old blog posts, and now we're in the era of the infographic. Everybody wants infographics. And luckily, even though Blake is like me, he's an account guy, we're like marketing generalists, he has skills in videography and design. So he was able to start creating infographics. So the way it would go, we'd both concept an infographic. I'd do the research and write it, maybe sketch out a rough wireframe, and then he'd come back a day later and have an infographic, and we'd post it, and we'd start just getting tons of traffic from that. So this is the first one we did. It was called, the history of Klout. and that's Paula Dean writing Moby Dick. You can't really see it, but if you go to the website, you can see it. And it's just the history of Klout as it goes down. It took me maybe like 5 or so hours to write, and then maybe Blake 8 or 10 to design it, but it got easier as we did more and more. So here's another one that took me maybe 2 hours to write and do the research for, and then Blake designed it, and got us a bunch more traffic to the blog. There's another one, another one, another one, another one, and this is a video that I'm particularly proud of. And when you talk about ideas, they can come from anywhere, and they can come at any time, and they don't have to be that complex to execute. And that's the whole idea of my presentation tonight, that you don't have to quit your day job. These things can happen easy. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to take that leap, so these are sort of my baby steps. But anyways, with this video, it took me about an hour to come up with the concept, to write it, and to create the video. This is one of those programs where you can get like the little robot talking avatars, and I posted it to YouTube. And so this was on a Sunday, and then the next week, I think on Wednesday, it was featured on Mashable as like the video of the day or the video of the week. So that was like the first time we really started to get recognition from our company, because they were saying, oh my God, this, we told a few people, but then that sort of spread around that we just, our blog is now getting featured on Mashable, which is like a huge deal when you're working in an ad agency or anywhere in digital marketing. Here's another one of me getting water splashed in my face at the office. Here's one, sorry Mario, of Blake pretending to be a German guy who doesn't understand Klout. I don't know if any of you guys know the internet meme of the German guy doesn't understand stuff. Like, you should look it up if you haven't seen it. And that's David Hasselhoff in the back, who I know Mario's a big fan of. And of course, we just do tons and tons of blog posts because they're easy. They don't take a lot of time. You get an idea for a blog post, and you can spit it out in 5 minutes or 50 minutes, as long as you want to put into it. So we did lots of those. So what has happened as a result of this? I mentioned earlier that our ulterior motive is to get recognized, to progress our careers. And I talked about Mashable already, so that was a big thing. All things digital. Before I go into some of the other ones, this was probably what helped us keep going today. If what I'm about to say hadn't happened, I don't know if we'd still be doing it, but we were lucky enough to get, because of the great content we were creating early on, 100,000 visits in the first 3 months of the site. And there were 2 days where we got 7,000 visits in just one day, just because of like creating this cool content. And I think the fact that we picked a company that was really controversial, like Klout, that nobody else was talking, well, lots of people were talking about it and writing about it, but there was no one Klout blog. We were the only one. There are probably tons of Twitter blogs and tons of Facebook blogs, and now there are probably even Pinterest blogs, although maybe not, but there was no Klout blog, so we were the place to go. So All Things Digital, another great publication. Media Bistro. Forbes.com, which was a pretty cool one. I like this one especially because when this guy who writes for Forbes.com, Anthony Cosner, he called me out by name and said that the blog was hilarious, and I was able to send that to my mom, who still doesn't know what the hell Klout is, but she knows what Forbes.com is, so I could say, hey Mom, I was in Forbes. She's more proud of me, so that was pretty awesome. Agency Spy is another one that was pretty sweet to get recognized by, because it's an online publication for advertising people. So it's something that's read by my peers. So the day that this story came out and they featured one of our videos and infographics, Blake and I were receiving emails from people in our office, other people in Seattle who work at other agencies, and other people who work at other agencies who we knew around the United States saying, hey, I just saw you guys on Agency Spy. That's so cool. How did you get on there? So just very cool and very rewarding. And then Klout.com themselves have actually started to notice us, and we've been on a few calls with their CEO. They paid to fly us down to Klout about, 3 weeks ago to visit and hear about what they've got going on. So that was just really cool to be recognized by them. It just makes it feel more legit. And so what's next for me and for us? We definitely have seen a lot of success from this. Blake and I have both started to get more calls from recruiters. We're getting more opportunities within our company. Wonderman Seattle sent a number of people down to the South by Southwest Interactive Conference earlier this year. And because of Blake's videography skills and infographic skills that people at the agency learned about, that our execs learned about through us doing this blog, they sent Blake. And Blake's, what, 25, 24 years old? Everybody else who went, they've been in the business for 20 years, and they sent our senior people. But they were like, we got to send Blake because he's the one who's going to get us the best content from the show. So without that, he wouldn't have been able to go to South by Southwest and get this great experience. Like I said, calls from recruiters, so I guess we could take a better job, make more money. This has opened up job opportunities within Wonderman Seattle, within Wonderman Global even, we're getting calls from. People want to talk to us and want us to work with them, and other agencies that I won't name right now because I will probably post this video on my company's Facebook page, so I don't want to call that out right now. But we are in demand. I guess I could write a book about Klout, but then I'd probably have to quit my day job. We're not all as talented as Jeff Hassan. I don't know if my former boss is still here, who just wrote a book called Mobilize Marketing while he had a day job, but I'm not a writer. So really, I mean, I hope that what you guys get out of this is that, you know, doing something or executing against an idea doesn't have to be that scary. We spend some days 0 hours on the blog, some days maybe 1, but probably not more than that, and we do a lot of it on the nights and the weekends. If you have an idea, just do it, you know, like I did with that video that ended up getting featured on Mashable. I think just take risks. They don't have to be big risks. You don't have to take out a second mortgage on your home to execute an idea. It can be as silly as just finding something you're passionate about, like I did with this company with this silly little hated algorithm, and creating a blog about it. And it's so far doing wonders for my career. So what's next for me? I guess for now, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, not quit my day job. And now I'll open it up for questions. And your hand went up first. So do you have a question or do you have an idea?